Welcome to today's class. A comment on Discord or drop a message on Discord so that the others can easily join the class. Let's kick off with today's class. We already have Samuel on the line. I'll take over from here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Today we'll be talking about components, and creating interactions using components in Framework. And before we commence, if you can hear me, please drop a message in the comment section. I'll be sharing my screen now so that we can begin. Please, if you can hear me at any point, please indicate in the comment section on YouTube or Twitch or in the Discord server. I'll be there to check and reply to messages. So, yeah, my screen is currently being shared. If you can't see it, please indicate so that we can proceed. Can you
Hi
guys see my
Samuel, so
screen
your
though?
screen just came up. There's this funny noise in your background. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Let me take this. Is it better now? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Oh, okay, yes, I can hear you
Hello?
now.
Is better now, right?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think there's a bit of lag. But I can hear you.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I can hear
Yeah.
you, so you can go on.
Okay. All right. So we'll be talking about components and how to create components in Framework. So first thing, if you're a designer, you would know how to what components are. Basically, they are small aspect of your design or small aspect of your website that are going to that repeats themselves throughout the platform. So, for example, buttons. You would find buttons throughout an entire website, the landing page, different pages of the website, on the hero section, the footer, the different sections within the website. There would always be buttons everywhere. So that means you have to make a component of buttons. So same thing with other components, other aspect of your website. And sometimes you might not be trying to create a component because it's repeating itself throughout the website. In Figma as well as also Figma, there are times when you are trying to create an interaction and you can't create it without using a component. So today we're going to be exploring a few examples of what that would look like, creating interactions with components, and we'll also be exploring some already available components on Framer. And after that, by the end of the day, we'll be able to make this website a little bit more interactive and look fairly better than this. So let's begin. So first, we're going to explore the components available in Framer that we could use for interaction. So we have a bunch of them. We're going to start with ticker. So we have ticker. I'm going to just drag them in. Then we'll explore them together. We also have slider. Then we have um, we have this, but it's not available because it's paid. And yes, I could drag in forms, but we won't need it for this. Okay, so let's skip this to here. We'll come back to it, right? To come back to so these are the two available. So you use these two to create things like carousels, or you want to have your a bunch of items moving by themselves without any particular interaction by the user, or want the user to be able to press an arrow to move things back and forth from left to right or in between. So that's when you will need either of them. Then, before I explain how they work, I'm going to go back to understanding how to create a component from scratch. So let's say we have a text. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Um,
Hello, can you guys hear me, please? Oh, yes, yes. All right, good. All right, so let's proceed. So, yeah, so for you to create a component, first, let's say we have a text. Let's say the name of the text is label. Let's create a button component. So the name of the text label. Then you can wrap it in a frame. Let's wrap it in a frame. Then let's stretch it up. Or probably we turn it into a stack instead. So we have this, remove the background, then it looks exactly like this. So this is a button. So buttons could have icons. So we're going to go grab icons. So just say grab icon, drag it in, and lock it and bring it down to 24, 20, then duplicate it, have it on the other side, Control D to duplicate, then goes to the other side. We're just going to keep everything as white. So just select both of them and turn it to white. Select the text itself and turn it to white. Then okay, so now we have this. So we need to then create a component of this so that sometimes we can allow one icon to show, then the other icon not to show, and maybe sometimes we want to change the label to a particular word or phrase we want as our call to action. So to do that, you right click. When you right click, the first option you will see here is create component. You could use Control Alt K to do that as well, or alternatively, you just right click and you have to select it. So you select, right click, and create component. So when you do that, you have to name your component. Let's call this button, or let's say BTN. And you can press enter on your keyboard, and we have our component. So if you notice the component is not exactly, if I zoom out, you see there's nothing here. So if you double click, it takes you to where we have the main website. But when we click on the component now that we've created the component, when we click on it, double click rather, it takes us to a different environment. So this is where you can create your custom interactions. You can create your custom interactions here, and whatever you create here goes straight to will be affected right here. So yes, now we have that. So double click again. So now if you notice, whenever the component is selected, there are two things that appear. We have variants, then we also have hover and pressed. So this is basically for creating different states, not necessarily buttons. This is just an example. It could be any other type of component you're trying to create for a different purpose. It could be for animation, it could be anything. And maybe you want to add a state where when a user hover over it or press it, whatever component it is, it behaves in a certain way. Would I'll show another example where we would use an image and create a hover effect with it as well. So now another option we have here is variants. Variants here is same thing we have on Figma, but yes, so you can create a variant and vary the components between the primary component, because you notice there's a primary component and that variant. Then based on that variation, you can animate between both of them. So I'm going to show you now. So let's duplicate. So now when we press the plus sign, you notice we create a new component. So we press the plus again, create a new component, and so on and so forth. I'm going to just keep it at 2. So we have the second component. So I'm going to name both components. So variant 1, we'll call it let's call it large. Okay, this is large. Let's call it large. Then this component, or alternatively, we could call this fill. So we can have this as a fill. Then we have this as outline. So this will be outline, outline. Okay, the fill outline. Then we could also have other variants. So we could have variants that do not even have stroke or fill in the first place, but let's leave it for within the street to start with. So for the fill, we are going to then give it a background. So let's see, let's use purple, let's use something here. Then we can have a bit of radius. Let's see, 16 or that's 8. That's 8. Then add a bit of padding, right? Just add a bit of padding here, so we can keep this, make this wider. Reduce the gap just a bit, and we can have 12 here. Then we can also have 12 here as well. Make sure that this is set to fit content. Then this is also set to fit content, and can also stretch this out a bit. So these are just like things you could do to make the component look good. So now we have something that looks this way. You can still go back and make some maybe minor change to this. Let's bring this down to 5. So yes. So now this is the component for fill. So for outline, we can go to border and change it, give it a border color of that same color. Then we can take out the fill. Then we can give this also the same color. Select this and come here, then select both icons. So you can also do that here, select color picker, then change the color as well. So now we have 2 components. So we have the fill, we also have the outline. So what happens when the user hovers over a fill icon? So we select, then we click on hover. So for hover, we want it to be a bit darker. So let's just darken this a bit. Okay. Then for outline, let's say for outline, we want outline to become filled. Now we'll come back and add a little bit more effect to this, but for now, let's say we want, when the user hovers over this, we want it to become filled. So just select this and change the color. So just change the color to white, then change the color of this to white as well. And yes, so next is, so because at this point we don't need to necessarily do any particular thing, the animation would work nicely. So what we need to do now is to double click again just outside. Now you could do this, or alternatively, if you check at the top here, we have buttons. So btn, that's the name of the component. Now you also have home here. So when you click on home, it takes you straight back. So now let's drag our component into the website. So let's just keep it right there, and let's go to the play. So you can see when we hover over it, I'm going to zoom out. So see, when we hover over it, the color changes. So now that is the first step. So let's say we want to add a little bit more effect, right? So first we can add a transition. So that transition could be a spring, or preferably use ease. So for ease, you can set an ease out transition, then increase the timing a bit so that it can be more visible and noticeable rather. So you can keep that at 0.6 or 0.5. Then let's get this. Okay. So you can do that. And now when you hover over it this time, it takes more time for it to change. So now that is for the field component. So you can also switch between the field button and the outline. So this is the outline. So we've selected the outline, then you notice when we hover over it, it changes as well. But you notice when it is changing, there's still an outline there. So we can change that by going back to the component, selecting the outline and removing the border. Then go back, preview, then refresh it. Then it behaves a lot more different. So that's all about creating components at the basic level. So you could use this to create components. It doesn't have to be buttons. You could use it to create other components. And like I mentioned, we're going to be exploring different components that you can create with this. So yes, we've covered. So next is to, let's say we want to change the label. So we have label here. We also have icons here. So maybe there are instances we don't want either of the icons to appear, or there are instances where we want a particular icon to appear. So all we could do is to select both icons and go to visible, click on the plus sign, then set. You can choose to create variable, or if you select them one after the other, on the other hand, you have an option to create. So you could use that to create a component. So now for component here, you just leave it at visible. So what happens here is that you get to set. I'm going to show you, instead of explaining this, we're going to show you how it works. So now we've set this to visible. So basically it's going to appear. Then also set this to visible, create visible. Just go back and click on that again. Visible. Then going to change this. So this is already set to fill. So in situation where this is does not have this title here already. So basically this means that when we go out of this component area, we can come here and change the label. So let's say we want to change this to get started. Get started. This is only possible. We can only change this to get started because we've already set this to title. So if we take this out, if I take this out now, then we'll go back and you notice that we don't have that label here again. We only have the option to switch between outline and fill. So the reason why we are able to change the label from the text to whatever we want is because when you select the label, you can click on content here and set a variable. So you could use that, or you could come here and select the variable title as well. So once you do that, from outside the component, you could change the text to whatever you want. So to fix this, just set this to fill content and everything stretches out. So now we have an issue. So we have two icons appearing. How do we make it disappear? So we could make it disappear by, so let's call this one icon left icon. And let's call this right icon. We have left icon, we have right icon. So now let's go back. And so now we can choose to make the left icon disappear, or we can choose to make both of them disappear, or we could make the left stay or the right stay, and all the way through. So yes, the next thing is that when we make an icon appear, how do we change the icon to whatever we want? So we could do that by selecting the icon again. Then you go down to, so you can see we have the component for the icon. So you could select the ability to change the icon, so changing the name. So you set that to icon name. So set that to icon name, and just delete this. We're not using this. So you can also do the same for this and select. Instead of creating a new one, just use that one since it's the same thing. So alternatively, you can separate both of them. So let's have this as icon. Let's have this as icon left. Then let's let's also have this as icon, right? So for the name, so you could do this, and another, I think I would show you a better way to do this instead of doing this way. So for the names, you could select this, and you go to icon left and select this. So convert to toggle. Then you could also set this and convert to right. So what happens now is that we can, before I proceed though, can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, please indicate in the comment section. Okay, so Candy just dropped a message, so I believe you can hear us as well.
Yes,
All right, all
you
right, all
can.
right. All right. Okay, all right, let's proceed. Let's proceed. So yes, when we come back here, we can set the name to icon left. Then copy that to right and set to right. Then and when we go out, and now we have the ability to change the icon for the left, so we can change it to heart. Let's say we want heart for that. Then we could also do the same for this. Of course, this will not appear because it's not set, it's not visible, but this way we can have a different icon based on what we want. So yes, now we've explored how to work with buttons. Let's try something else. So let's say we want to create a simple hover effect for an image. So I'm going to drag an image into this file. Give me a sec. Drag an image here. Just grab a simple image. So we have this image. I'm going to make it a lot smaller than this. Let's shrink it in, bring it close, and all right, so we have this. Let's say we want to have a hover effect on this so that when a user hovers over this, it behaves in a certain way. So what we could do is to first add a frame around this, right? So you add this into a frame. Then when you do that, once you've done that, you select that frame, make sure it is selected, and you turn it into a component. So you can have this as image and icon variant, create a new variant. Then you now select the image from inside that variant. Make sure it is locked. Then you can drag it out a bit, center the image, and select the main component. Drag this to this one, set the interaction to top. Once you've done that, change the transition to ease. Then you can set the transition to 0.5 or 0.6. Then you can also preview here. I don't know if I mentioned that. So you can preview right in the component screen. So when you click on that, you can easily so now what we didn't do is to return the component back. So we can do that by selecting this and dragging it back. So on top. So we could also do, instead of on top, when the user hovers over it, it behaves that way. So this is for leave. Then this one is for enter. So let's go back. Click on play. So you notice when I've zoom in a bit. So when we hover over it, the image comes a bit closer. You can see that. So that's exactly how you create an image transition in Framer. So So yeah, we could also have text. We could also have text. So let's say, for example, we have text here. Let's say we have heading, big heading here. Then let's increase the font size to 24 or 32. And we also have a paragraph. So I'm going to reduce the paragraph to 18. So let's have this as 18, and just keep it here. So we have this, and we want a situation where if we just join this together with a stock, and then set it to field, then align to the left, set this to 0 so that it can come together. So we have this. We want a situation where when the user hovers over it, it moves from, let's say it's at the top here. So we have it at the top here. We want a situation when the user hovers over it, it moves from the top to the bottom. So all we need to do is to, in the first component, we make sure the variant, make sure it's at the top. Then second variant, we can bring it down to the bottom here. And same thing, we can preview here. So let's select this. See, when you hover over it, it basically moves down. And we can do a lot more with this. If you notice, we also have other examples of things you could do with this. So we have tab, we have tab start, we have appear, we also have enter, then we also have leave as well. So you can always explore that. You could also add a delay. So maybe you don't want it to appear immediately, depending on interaction. Maybe you want a little bit of delay before it appears. So you can set that. Let's say you added a little bit of delay. So now whenever you hover, okay, so you hover, takes some time, then it appears. Hover, takes some time, then it also appears. And so yes, so we're going to try another component now. So we've explored buttons, we've also explored images. So let's try something else. Let's try creating a simple switch. So we have a switch. Let's make this, give this a radius of 1 t, and give this at a circle here. And then let's raise this out, give it an off-white. Then we can give this a radius, so just have here, and drag it to the side, and just make it a little bit bigger. Make this a little bit bigger. Then we can also drag this in. So make sure that, so when you work with this, make sure that you set the position to the right, because basically this circle is on the right side of the rectangle. So we have to make sure that it is on, the position is to the left, to the right rather, not to the left. So make sure that it is, you do that. It is obviously going to be absolute, so because what we're dealing with here is a frame. So in frames, when you have an item nested in a frame, it's most likely going to appear. It's going to appear as an absolute position. So you notice here is absolute position. We also do not have the relative of fixed or sticky turned on, because we're working with a frame. So if I turn this off, if I turn this on rather, if I turn this into a stack, you notice all of a sudden we no longer have absolutes, right? So we now have fixed values. Now you could also use this to create a component, but we're going to use frame first. So let's leave it this way. So let's drag this in a bit. Let's drag this in. So this, if you notice, if I stretch this out or bring this in, the circle sticks to the right hand side. This is happening because we've set this position to the right. So if I change this to the left, and zoom out a bit, and I drag in, see what happens. Basically, the image is not going to stretch. It's not going to move in synchronous with the width of the circle, of the rectangle. It's basically not moving, right? It's just pressing on itself. So that's why you have to make sure that the circle inside. So you will find a lot of use cases where you need to make changes to this, but Yeah, just trying to explain that. So let's bring this in a bit. Let's drag this in, then let's drag this in, then select, right click, components, switch, enter your keyboard, bring it here, select variant, then from this variant, move it to the other side. So move it to this side, set it to 3 so it can move all the way there. Of course, you would adjust this as well. Make sure it is a perfect circle here. And now from this place, you could also then change the color. So let's have a different color here. Let's have, let's use purple. So we have purple here. And for this, we do not have anything. So now we could also change the name of the variant. So this is default and active. We have the default and the active. So when you click on this, so if you click on this, we want the circle to move to the side. So if we click on this, we want it to move back to the side. So you just click on. So when you hover over it, you see this lightning icon. So you click on it, and you can drag it across. Then you could also drag this across as well. So basically, when you tap on it, it's going to appear. So look at preview as well. Click on preview and zoom in and click, 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 click. So you see it moves exactly the way you want it to move. So let's go back and make a little bit more change. So make sure this is centered. Then also make sure this is centered. Then we can go out and use this in our design. So we could add this. Let's just drag this in and just keep it somewhere, anywhere for that matter. So we're going to just have this. Let's we're going to have this here. Um, so we'll preview and we click on this. It appears, then it also goes away. So yes, now we've created a switch, we've created an image, we've also worked with buttons. I'm willing to, let's, you know what, I'm thinking we should try another component, but I want you guys to decide what component you want us to create. So I'm in the comment section, I'm also on Discord. So what kind of component, a simple component that you want us to create next to make sure that you understand how to work with components. So what component do you want us to work on next? So while I wait for you to do that, we're going to effect the image hover. We're going to effect that on these images. So to do that, we're going to just select the image, right click, create components, name them image. Open this up to variant. So please indicate in the comment section what component you want us to create next. Just zoom this out, center it, and go back, drag this in, connect it to both, make sure it's set on top. People want it on mouse enter because we want when the user hovers over it before it changes. So you select this as well, then connect it back, then set it to mouse leave. So when the user removes their mouse from that particular component, that's when it behaves. It happens, it moves, right? So that can also work. So if you also have any questions, please ask. You can ask your questions. Now, one more thing, we'll select this and we can, so yeah, we already have this set of fields, so that won't be a problem. So now we fixed this. Let's just do a little bit of correction there. So yeah, let's preview. Oh yes, a nav as a component from scratch, so we can so we can have a mobile variant. All right, fine. We're going to work on that. So let's finish this up. Let's preview this. Right. So you see, we hover behaved in a particular way, and yeah, we can also do that for the rest. All we need to do is to select. We can copy this. So copy and paste up. So all I need to do is to change the image across everything as well as content. So now let's work on the navigation. So you're going to select this navigation, right click, create component. If you have another component you also work on, please also indicate in the chart so that we can and that as well. So we have this, so we're going to name this desktop. Desktop. And I'm going to name this tablet. I'm going to name this mobile. Let's go back to tablet, to the desktop. So desktop is looking good. This is what I want. So I could add a background here so that we can see the text, or if you notice on the design that we want the background to show. So let me show you what happens. So if I add a background to this now, if I add a field to this is what is going to appear. We're going to now have a different color at the top here, different from this. And we want the background here to flow all the way to the navigation. So instead of doing that, we're just going to turn it off. Just take this out. So you can just bring this to light mode. I mean, it's really bright, but we'll be able to see the text clearly now. So this is desktop. Desktop is good, and tablet is also good. But oh yes, so for tablet, by the way, we need to make adjustment to tablet. So we need to get the exact sizing. We need to know the exact width for our tablet. So for us to do that, we can. So if you've not done this already, so let's say this is a new page. Let's go to another page, right? Let's go to another page. This is a new page. You only have desktop, right? So what you could do is click on breakpoint, then go to tablet. You can copy this value, and that is it. Then copy it. Then go back here. Go to your tablet. Then paste the value here. So paste, and you can see it comes loose. Then do the same thing, go back to page, then let's go to mobile, copy the value here, 9 here, 8, then click on the mobile, then change it to that. Or when we inspect the tablet, the only changes we need to make is to let's bring this in the padding, the margin rather, let's bring it a little bit close. So we have 24 here, then we can also change it to 24, and we have that bit closer. Then what else? Let's make this 24 as well. So top should be 24, everything should be 24, so that it to be properly centered. uh, let's have this as 24. So same thing here, top 24. In fact, everything is 24, so we can just set this to this. So all around 24. Then for mobile, we're going to take this out. So we're just going to click delete. So when you click delete, it's not necessarily going to delete it. So it's just going to hide it. Look at the links here. These are the links. If you click on visible, you see that we still have everything here, but we're going to hide it basically. Then next thing, now we have the logo, and we also have the button. So what we could do is to stretch both of them. So let's fill it up. So it's already set to fill, but it's still not stretched. So that's because we still have this. But in the margin is still a lot big. So you set this to 16, and you notice everything stretches now. And we can change this. This is a lot big for, it's too big for our mobile view. So let's bring this in. Let's use 16 here, 14, then we also have 14 here as well, then 8 and 8. this is for mobile. So one more thing, we need an icon so we can in the hamburger menu so we can search for menu here. Actually, we already have that, so we could find it. Let's set this to visible. So yes, we can drag this in. We can drag this in, and we can also change the values here as well. So we could choose to remove this button here, but if we are going to leave it, all we need to do is to select both of them and stack them together so that we can have a much neater interface. So make sure there's no padding, then select both of them, um, set it to fit content, make sure this is here. But it will be better to take out that completely so that we can have only this. So we can just going to leave it this way. Something is happening here. So we have a new set of items that appeared when we made that visible. So just delete them all together, and we have this. So now all we need to do is we need to add what happens when the user clicks on this, right? So you could do that by just creating a simple frame. Let's create a simple frame here. Keep it right here. Select all the items. Select all the items from here. I think what we did in desktop in the mobile messed things up for the desktop. So we're going to just go back to desktop and make some changes. So you can select this, and let's adjust the padding. Adjust the padding here. And set it back to fill. Okay, let's set this back to fill. Just space between, and make sure that this works well too here. Set this to visible, then bring this here, then also this. So yeah, sorry about that. This was a bit messed up, and I had to rearrange it to make sure it works nicely. So just going to come back and select this, duplicate. In an ideal scenario, that is not what you're going to have. This one's and I've not worked on it. I didn't work on it this way. So let's just rearrange it now. Set this to be this way, and we can stretch this out. Select it, drag it to the middle, and let's set this to fixed so that we can stretch it all the way through. And then we can also select a different text. So let's have this and this, and just move them and give them a value of let's see, can give them a value of 24. 24 is big enough. Let's see, this one 24, and this one 24. So yes, now we have this. We should bring this close. So set this to fixed and drag this in a bit. Then keep this here. Then we can then add this button that we removed earlier. So just drag this back, and we can have this at the bottom here. Stretch it all the way down to the other end of the screen. So let's have this go all the way through to this end, and same thing here. Let's have this go all the way through. So yes, we can leave this right here. So next, to make this work, you just duplicate this, and I'm going to place it right here, and place it in the middle, and make sure it occupies the entire space. Set to 100%, and voila. So you could do this, or alternatively, you just copy the whole thing. Copy the whole thing here and duplicate it in. Delete that. And bring it in. Then same thing. You can set it to relative and 100%. And make sure it's at the top. So now you click this and change it from X to a different value. So you can then change this from what it is. So you could change this manually, or you could use the X. So I think that's something that I should have introduced at earlier on. So let's go back to icons. So let's have let's drag force for in here instead. Then we're going to introduce menu. Menu. Let's look for menu here. Or probably hamburger. So we have hamburger instead. I don't think these guys have included this in this particular icon stock. So we'll probably check another one instead. So let's see menu. Menu is supposed to have it. Oh dear. So let's check a different one. So icon and plug this in. Then same thing, you can come here and search menu. So we have menu here. So we can then set this to fixed, bring it down to 4, or to let's be a bit bigger. Then we can remove this and and when we now duplicate this to this, so we can duplicate the menu, get it here, paste this, and X, so X, keyboard, or you can search for X. That should take you to this interesting. There is no X in this particular stock, and it used to be here initially. All right, fine. We would just look for close. Probably would have it there. So since we don't, we just use a different icon stock instead for this. So let's have icon. Now we can search for X and X. Set this to 32, so it becomes closer. Yes. So we would take out the background here so that, or we'll probably leave it, right? We leave it. Then we just add a background to add a stock so that it can come a little bit closer, and set this to fill so that it could work the same way others are working. And set this to fill as well. Fill at 100%. All right, then we can also add a pattern. So this is a little bit of tweaking, so it can take a bit of time to do. So let's Not 24 here. Then we're going to have 24 here as well. And don't need any value at the top. So you can set this to fit and probably just give it 40 here. And particular item at top, so just give it 40 here and then add a gap. But you have to make sure that the space, whatever space you're providing, it's similar to this. So here we have 24 at the top here, so we have to make sure that it's also 24 here. So let's keep this at 24. And yes. So when we click on this, we want it to we want this to open. So what we could do is click on interaction and add new event, and the name of this particular frame is rows. So we could then click on this, set the variant to rows. Now this is not appearing. So alternatively, let's explore a different way of doing this. So before I proceed, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Are you guys there? Okay. All right, good. So yes, there we can connect this board. To do that, all you need to do is to select this, select variant, delete this completely, then paste this in, stretch this to cover the entire content, and or show this to set content field, remove the padding completely to 0, and select this, set it to variant 4, and we're going to name variant 4 menu. And when we click on this, we want it to go straight back to this. So click returns you back straight to this. So we can inspect this by going back here, and we can select the mobile, change it to mobile, and preview and see what works. Yes, so select. And notice now that it's appearing, but it is not covering the entire screen. So we can easily fix that by changing this to, instead of center, so we can change it from center to top. So let's keep it at the top. Then same thing here. Make sure it is set to the top. Let's have that here as well. Top, and preview and press. So now it works, but it is not stretching all the way to the top. So for you notice the text is not appearing that way. So to fix that, you can, all you need to do is to add an index. So you can add an index and set it to a higher value. So now you notice that it would appear on top. So for it to fill the entire screen, that's all you need to do to fix that is to click on this, which is the entire row inside, then set it to fill, and select the main one outside and stretch it to cover, set it to be value of the this, which is 390. So now we have that. We can preview again, and it works. It covers the entire screen. Now you could do it this way, or a simpler way of doing this. I want to show you a simpler way of doing this. Instead of going through all this hassle, you could just select a row, copy it from here, paste it here, paste it here. Outside, I'm going to detach this. I'm going to detach this. So you could, since this detached supposed to appear here, but it's not, so you can just delete it and come here and select it again from here. So we're just going to select this instead. Um, paste it here, and all the way to the top. Delete this too and take it to the top. So let's take this all the way back to the top and from there and add the padding of 16 to the side and 16 to this place. And for here, for here, and say click on the menu and you add an interaction. So the interaction we're going to add here is overlay. So when we click on this, we want an overlay that would lead to, so click on this, so on click, we have an overlay. So on the overlay, then you can have this, place this on top. I'm going to return this to black and white, but let's finish up so that, so or if this doesn't work, you can press Ctrl X to copy it. You can see the overlay icon component here. So you make sure it is selected and paste and stage right on top. As you go back in one more thing, so you click on this and add a close overlay to it. So that's about to click done and press play. When you click on this, it opens. When you close it, it closes. So the same thing, and but this was a little bit faster. So yes, so you can click on this, it opens, click on this, it closes. You'll notice that there's a here is dark. You could change this if you want this to be transparent. So all you need to do is to come back to the overlay, click on it, and you can change the field to whatever color you choose. So you notice when you drag this away, color changes. So you can set it to transparent and save it. Go back to preview, click on it again. Notice that it is also working fine. And so yes, this first step we did here was a bit tricky because for the most part, the components were intertangled, where they were messed up in between. So that was why it was a bit stressful to do that. So, but if you are working on yours, instead of doing that, you could use what I just did, which is just to click on the hamburger menu, then connect it using overlay. Or alternatively, when you go to the insert, you can search for header. So you can go to navigation and drag in the header. So the header itself is a component. So when you double click on the header, you takes you to this. So from here, we have the desktop, we also have the tablet, we also have the mobile. So if you notice the mobile open is also a variant. So a variant meaning that same way you click on this to create a variant, that was the same way this was created. It was not a component in a variant. In a component, it's a variant. So meaning we can connect this to this and return it back. Same way we did. And this is more like a boilerplate. So when you're creating components, you could use this to create, or you can edit that and use it, or you just create it from here. So you just click on this, click on overlay. So just click on plus sign here. So because I've already used overlay, that's why it doesn't appear here anymore. So you click on that and you can work with your overlay. So same thing, you can also use overlay for pop-ups. So let's say we want to have a pop-up as well. So when user clicks on this, we want a pop-up. So we can click on that. Then we can draw a very, very big rectangle. So let's have a frame here. And let's drag a frame all the way through. So we have this frame and can click on done. So when we preview, whenever a user clicks on this, let's go back and make sure that is working fine. So click on this, and when you click on frame, it takes you back to, it closes the interaction altogether. Now we could connect this back, so click on done and select this. You can drag this to, you can then preview this, and whenever we click on this is supposed to work. This is not working because this is already a component, so we could connect it to a different button. Let's say we can connect it to this, so that whenever the user clicks on this, it behaves in a certain way. So this is linking to a particular blog post. So yes, So that is all about components. You need to explore further. There is a platform you could check if Framer plays you out. So you can search for Framer, um, Framer Remix or Framer Community. So when you search for Framer Community, you scroll down to Community. Then when you check the Framer Community, you would find a bunch of components that people have created, and you can use it for your work as well. So you scroll down and you would find tutorials, you'll find remix. So remixes are basically components, effects, and different things that people have created that you could use. So a lot of them here, a lot of them. So you can always come to this page, and once you click on any of them, so for example, let's click on this. You can click on remix. So when you click on remix, it basically opens a different project, and you see it allows you to duplicate into your account. So and you can use that in your design. Change this back to dark mode, so you can use this in your design. So this particular effect is, I think it's a yes. So we have this. So this was created with code. So it's not something that can be replicated without using code. So it's a custom component, and you can see it is called Mac text. So whatever text you have here is exactly what the effect will appear. So all you need to do is to copy, click on Ctrl C, copy, and you can paste this into your design. Let's paste this in so that you see how it works. And select this. Let's do this first. So let's go back, select this, make sure it is copied, and we can paste it here. Yes, so we have the text, and we can change the color to black so that it can be visible, and we can move it to the top. Then when we're all right, and you notice it's also behaved the same way. So you can always go back to any of this remix and use them, edit them for your use. You could also check templates as well. You would find a bunch of templates here that you could use, and make your work more interesting. So, yes, any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions at all? Any questions? So for this breaking, so what we could do is to connect. So for how this works, so let me show you. So you connect this. So these are cards I've already created, right? So we have this news card. So please ask your question while I do this. So we have this, connecting this to all of them, and yes, then we can drag this back, drag this into this area, set it to fill, and also set this to fill so that it stretches. And now we have this. So when we preview, you notice that it is moving by itself. We could also make some changes. We could slow it down. So you see the settings here. We can speed it up. If we want to move faster, we can speed it up. If we wanted to want to change direction, we could also do that as well. So you see it's moving in the opposite direction, and it's moving a lot faster. Then we could also add a hover. So whenever you hover on it can move a lot more slower than it used to. So yeah, we have this, and so well, any questions? Do we have any questions? Any questions for me? Any questions on this class? And let's see. Let's preview this. So when you hover now, it slows down. It slows down completely. So yeah, you could use this, or you could use carousel. So for carousel, the same thing. Let's connect it. Connect all of them. Let's connect it to this, and connect this as well to this. Then I'm going to paste, drag this in as well. So I'm just going to make sure it fills the entire space. Then I'm going to bring it all the way to the top. Okay. Then I'm going to preview. Then we notice this does not move, but when we click on the arrow here, it moves. So that's one way to do it. Then you could also check the settings here and make changes accordingly. So if you want to make the icons bigger, if you want to make them smaller, if you want to adjust this pattern in between the text, you could do that as well. And you could also change whatever settings that you need to do to make it look exactly what you want from it. So yes, so you could add a scroll bar here, or you could also add dots. So this is very useful when you're going to create an image carousel on the landing page. So let's say we have an image here and you're trying to work with it, then you could easily use this to achieve that. So yeah, any questions? Any questions at all? If you have any questions, please ask so that we can round up today's class. Now, um, Ifeanyi was asking. So Ifeanyi was asking on Discord server that he has been battling with. Okay, he's battling to understand previous class, and Fremont is interesting, but it's also confusing. So challenge has been the issue with mobile views. So for mobile view, the major thing you need to know is that whatever you change, so let me close this up. If you change and if you want the mobile view to look good, make sure that the values, so the components, basically the things that are wrapping every other thing. So it sections itself. Make sure they are set to fill. It's very important to set them to fill, because if you don't set them to fill, it won't be responsive. So now, if we don't set this image to fill, it's not going to move this way. So you notice the way the image is moving. It is moving in the same. It's moving to occupy the entire space, right? So it is not stopping at any point. But if we change this image from fill, if we change it to fixed, what will happen? In fact, you notice that it immediately scatters the mobile view. It scatters it completely. Let's go back again and let's move this out. You notice this is no longer moving. It just stays there. Then if we try to bring it close, you notice it's also messing things up. Now, the only reason why this is looking good right now is because for the tablet, it's okay. It stays right where it should be. But if we continue to bring it in all the way down here, you notice that we can't see most of the information here. So you have to make sure that everything is always set to fill. And we notice whenever you change item in the desktop view, it also affects in the tablet as well as the mobile. But whenever you change something, for example, if I come here and I change this to fixed and I drag this across, it doesn't affect the desktop, neither does it affect the mobile. So these are just some basic principles to know when working with this with the different screen sizes. Now, for mobile view, you have less space, of course. So you have to make sure that everything is a bit close to the edge. Preferably, just keep a bit of space, about 16 pixels work fine. So, and yeah, just keep practicing and you would get better at it. And if you guys have any specific issue or you're working on any particular project and you have any particular issue, you could record a short video explaining the issue you're having and drop it in the Discord server. I would respond to that video with another video. Now, so you drop a video explaining the problem you're having and a
Hello,
link
Samuel.
to
Can you
what.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Hello.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Uh,
All right. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so I don't know if it's network issue is from me or from Amaka, but if it's from me, I'm trying to say that if you have any questions or you have any issue, I want you to record a video showing exactly the issue you're having, then attach a link. So for you to get a link to your project, just come here, click on invite, then come press copy here, copy link. So just click copy link here and paste the link. Unless you have the paid version, nobody will be able to edit your work, so you don't need to worry about that. So you paste the link together with the video in the Discord server. I would respond to your video explaining how to solve that particular issue within 24 to 48 hours, and hopefully that would help you get through the issue you're having. So with that, we're come to the end of today's session, and come to the end of today's session. Amaka, are you there? Mm.
Summer, can you hear me?
Okay. I think so. I'm done. The session is over, and stop sharing my screen.
Can you hear me now, Samuel?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me now?